I sat for a moment, staring at the screen, my finger hovering over the submit button. You see, I was testing out this new AI tool on the X platform, curious to see what it could do. At first, I considered using a simple prompt like summarize my posts or give me some content ideas. But as I scanned through the list of suggested prompts, one completely captured my attention. Roast me. Apparently, if I clicked this option, it would analyze my profile, scan all of my posts from over the years, and it would generate a witty critique, harsh, but humorous. I hesitated for a second. Do I really want to see this? Curiosity won, and I clicked the button. In an instant, the response flashed onto the screen. Cliff, your podcast titles scream self-help guru in the making. But let's be real. You're more like the self-help friend who's still trying to figure it out. You talk a big game about freedom and success, but your posts read like a never-ending self-improvement checklist. Between all of the mindful moments and choosing freedom, are you sure you're not just trying to choose to sound profound on the internet? And that profile pic with the microphone, are we sure you're not just up there on stage practicing for your next How to Sound Wise episode? Keep at it though. Maybe one day you'll convince yourself first. I exhaled sharply. I felt my stomach tightening. I suppose in a way I'd asked for this. My curiosity had led me to click that button, and I'd taken the bait. It was meant to be a joke, a light-hearted AI-generated roast. But still, it hit somewhere deep. Not because it was true, but because for a long time I had feared it was. You see, this wasn't the first time I'd heard something like this. For more than a decade, one individual has repeatedly sent me messages echoing this same sentiment. At first, I assumed it was multiple people, some blunt, some passive-aggressive, and some pretending to be helpful. But one day, I noticed a pattern. Despite using different names, different email addresses, different social media profiles, every single one of these commenters shared one same IP address. That is when I realized I didn't have more than a dozen people who thought this about me. I just had one. It was that same person that I had blocked long ago. However, before I realized that this wasn't a growing number of people who felt this way, but the same person over and over again, I had taken their words personally. For longer than I want to admit, these messages burrowed deep, planting seeds of doubt. Am I just pretending? Do I actually even know what I'm talking about? Here's the thing. I had spent years growing, learning, pushing my limits, not just in business, but in my own self-awareness. I had worked with incredible clients, helping people break through limiting beliefs, and I've seen real transformations unfold right in front of me. I have lived this work. And yet, the moment I read those words, I felt that familiar tightening in my stomach. I was fascinated by how a few sentences on a screen could still send a ripple through that part of my brain that once held onto those old fears. You see, that's the danger of well-placed criticism. It doesn't have to be true to feel real. It only needs to touch something that once lived inside of you. But here's what struck me. this time, it didn't stick. I caught it in the moment. The insecurity that once made these words feel true had already faded. I had already done the work. The shift had already happened. And with that realization, I saw the words for what they really were. Just echoes of an old belief that I no longer carried. I leaned back in my chair, rereading the words on the screen. Not long ago, something like this would have lingered in my mind for days, maybe even weeks, gnawing at the edges of my confidence, forcing me to question myself. But now, it was different. The moment I recognized what was happening, I felt something powerful. I wasn't inside that old insecurity anymore. I was outside of it, observing it like a distant memory. I saw the roast for what it really was, not an objective truth, not even as a personal attack, but just a reflection of a particular way of thinking, a mindset rooted in cynicism, skepticism, and scarcity. A mindset I no longer subscribe to. Years ago, I might have agreed with some of those words, even if I didn't say them out loud. I might have seen vulnerability as weakness, confidence as arrogance, generosity as desperation, and self-improvement as an endless treadmill of trying to be enough. The younger version of me, before all of the growth, before I had done all of this deep work, might have written a roast like this too. Not out of malice, but because that's how I had been conditioned to see the world. I remember thoughts like success must come through traditional paths. Offering too much value for free means that you're desperate. Confidence is just another word for ego. But that isn't my belief anymore. You see, I see things differently today. Abundance creates more abundance. Authenticity resonates with people. Genuine value sharing attracts aligned opportunities. Confidence rooted in competence empowers others. Through this lens, my work isn't about sounding wise. It's about sharing my real experiences, insights, and the tools that have changed my own life and the lives of my clients. Through this lens, my generosity isn't neediness. It's the overflow of someone who has enough and who believes that there is more than enough for everyone. Through this lens, my passion isn't performance. It's the natural expression of someone who is fully aligned with what I'm meant to do in this world. The words on the screen hadn't changed. The criticism was still there in the response, but the lens through which I viewed it had shifted. If the AI had not suggested the roast me prompt, I would have never in a million years chosen to run my posts through that particular filter. I had spent way too many years roasting myself, questioning myself, doubting myself, and scrutinizing my every move. But those days are behind me. So out of curiosity, I decided to try something that was more aligned with my inner narrative today. I typed in a new prompt. Encourage me. A few seconds later, the response appeared. Cliff, you're on an incredible journey, and your passion for personal growth and sharing wisdom is truly inspiring. Every podcast episode you create, every thought you share is a step not only towards your success, but also empowering the success of others. Keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Keep inspiring those around you. And remember, every episode you produce is a testament to your dedication and belief in a better tomorrow. You've got this. Keep shining, keep growing, and keep sharing your light with the world. I read it twice, and then once more, and then I laughed. These were the words that are most reflective of my inner narrative today. Words that, in part, have been shaped by the thousands of people around the world who have shared their encouragement with me over the years. The irony wasn't lost on me. It's the same AI that had crafted the cynical roast that then, with the right prompt, offered genuine encouragement. The posts documenting the podcast episodes that I had produced, the actions that I had taken, and the words that I had shared on my social media profile had not changed. What changed was the filter used to evaluate them. It's the same in life. Your story is still being written. The world you and I live in, it is full of perspectives. Some of those perspectives will shrink you, and some will expand you. The question isn't which perspectives exist. The question is which narrative will you allow to shape your future? I've discovered that words create worlds. Words create your reality. The words you use to create the meaning behind what you perceive and how you see yourself, that creates your experience in life. What stories are you telling yourself about your experiences? What words are you choosing to describe it? Choose your words wisely. Until next time, I encourage you to be intentional about choosing the path forward.
Mindset Answer Man.